Hello the internet, and welcome to another installment of the Super Simple series. Today we are going to be focusing on something that is so straightforward and simple that it's ridiculous. And you might be thinking, why in the world even talk about this? Because everyone knows how to do this. Wrong. Everyone does not know how to do this. I screwed this up for like years because I just didn't. While it seems straightforward, I just didn't get it. So today, we're going to be talking about how to blend your eyeshadow without making it muddy or without leaving it so unblended that it just looks like a harsh line. That is what we're doing. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is prime your lid. The smoother a surface you're working with, the easier it is to blend. So I have used the Smashbox lid primer, and I'm going to be going in with a powder that is roughly the same shade as my skin. That will help later when it comes to blending. So this is just one of the Nicka K pressed powders, and this is a double-ended Luxie brush. So we're taking the fluffier side of the brush, dipping into the powder, tapping off the excess, and going in just all over the crease and the lid. You can bring this up to your eyebrow if you want. Doesn't matter. Doing that on both sides. And this is just going to help all of your shadows transition. Okay. Now that we have a base laid down, we move on to eyeshadow. I'm going to be using the Saharan palette by Juvia's Place because it is gorgeous and it is really pigmented, and I feel like that's going to help illustrate the point the best. So we are going to be using this brown shade right here to start off with. I'm going to use this as a crease color. Once again, fluffy side of the brush, dabbing into your eyeshadow and going back and forth in the crease. You can do little circles, you can do sweeping motions. This part of the blending, not a big deal. Pretty much whatever you're most comfortable with. I usually go with the windshield wiper motion. I think it'll depend a lot on how much lid space you're working with as well, how much you want to bring it up. Okay, very light dusting in the crease. Gonna do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so you want to try and keep things even as much as possible. Now I'm going to be going in with a darker shade across the lid, and I'm going to bring it up just a bit so that I can show you how you blend if you're not doing a cut crease or something that does have a very defined line, a very straight line of demarcation, how you want to mesh your lid shade with your crease shade, your transition shade. So I'm going to be going into, let's go with this bright red here because that is going to be super easy to see. So I'm switching over to the packing, the shader side of the two-ended brush and dipping into this bright red shade. I'm going to be putting it on my lid. I'm going to be stopping just before the crease, and then I'm going to be showing you how to blend. Okay? Okay, so Looks like a mess? Don't worry, we'll fix it. Now, if you're trying to get these two, your brown shade in your crease and your lid shade, to mesh really well, the easiest way to go about that for me is just dipping back into my transition, my crease shade, and then only blending the edge of the lid shade. Where I messed this up so many times before is I would overblend. I would just go to town over the whole area, and then I would wonder why it was that my lid shade or my outer corner shade wasn't as vibrant as I wanted. It was because I was essentially going over it a bunch of times with my brush rather than just sticking to the edges. You just want to blend the edges or you will end up muddying up your look. You'll have to go back and you'll have to build up your pop of color, your vibrant shade, or your lid shade, or your outer corner, or what have you, so many times, and then you will continually mess it up and so on and so forth. It's frustrating, but we are going in and we are just blending the edge. Okay, so comparing this eye to this eye, this is not necessarily cleaner, but it does look like a more reasonable transition from my lid shade to my crease shade. It's not a stark, crazy, all over the place line, and you can kind of shape the way you want your lid to work. If you're doing more artsy or editorial looks, it's just as important, if not more important, to make sure that you're sticking with only blending the edges, because otherwise you can quite literally ruin an entire look in a matter of seconds if you go ham with your blending brush. So just once again, showing off the difference. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to fix up this side. Okay, so there are definitely still some areas like fallout underneath. One of the problem with the Juvia's Place palettes, they're really, really pigmented. I wouldn't call them powdery, and I don't want to get into a big review of Juvia's Place or the Saharan or what have you right now, but they are powdery, so you're going to deal with fallout. That's one of the reasons you want to tap off your brush, try and avoid as much of that as possible, but you can clean that up. You can just go in with, you know, your pressed powder in your skin tone shade and clean that up. You can go in with makeup remover wipe, a Q-tip, a concealer, especially if you're doing something with, you know, a wing or a cut crease or something, again, more detailed and specific. Your best bet would be to go in with concealer. But this super simple tutorial was just how to blend without destroying your eye look. To recap, only blend the edges of whatever you want to go together. Otherwise, you will destroy all your hard work and you will wonder why it's not working out. On that note, if after you've blended you feel like your lid shade or what have you isn't bright enough, you can always repeat these steps. You can go back in with, in my case, your red over the lid, and then just once again gently blend just the edges to get the look that you're wanting. Most of the tutorials that you will see online do not show you the number of times somebody has to go back into their palette, into a specific shade, and build it up because it's not as vibrant as they want. Very, very rarely do you see a tutorial where someone's played it all the way through and they haven't edited out the parts where they had to keep dipping into their palette. Because if you were to watch that, it would take you an hour to get through a video and it would be very, very boring. So beauty gurus on YouTube are not magical. They are not. They just edit out the boring parts. With that being said, this concludes the tutorial. Next up, because my brows are not done, will be a brow tutorial with a pencil. because I promised that when I did the brow tutorial with powder. So, I hope you had a wonderful day or night, depending on when you're watching this, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.